Welcome to Hotter Than Ever, where we uncover the unconscious rules we've been following, we break those rules, and we find a new path to being freer, happier, sexier, and more self expressed. I'm your host, Erin Keating. Today, I talked to Erica Gerard, who produces this very podcast. And she has been my producer from day one. In this episode, we do kind of a switcheroo where she comes out from behind the scenes and interviews me about some of the deep thinking that I've been doing about the podcast and Hotter Than Ever in general, and how that thinking has been evolving over this slow roll, but very thoughtful summer. All right, let's get hot. This is a very special episode of Hotter Than Ever, like an after school special, but not. Today I have producer Erica here on the podcast. So we're 90 episodes in, and Erica has never made her voice known to the Hotter Than Ever audience. And yet she has been here like a I don't know. I want to say shadow puppet government. But that's not what it is. She's been,
I was thinking like a cozy blanket.
She's been here. No, you're better than a cozy blanket. You're like power and structure and guidance and insight and expertise. Like you're
Isn't
like
that
a cozy,
just like a woman to be like, I'm just
cozy, a little cozy blanket.
Curl up with me. I'm soft.
Oh my God, Erica. So Erica is here today, and I am so thrilled for this conversation and this unconventional episode of Hotter Than Ever. And here's a reason to do unconventional episodes of Hotter Than Ever. We are making this up as we go along. There is no formula. As much as I would love there to be, there is no formula for the podcast. There is no formula for our lives. We are all figuring it out together. So welcome, Erica.
Thank you, Erin. It's nice to be talking with you publicly.
She's come out. I've let her out of the attic. I've been keeping her in the attic. She's been behind the scenes since months before the podcast started.
That's right.
She's really
been subsisting on baked beans and a little bit of ham.
Yeah, occasionally we'll bring her a treat. So today I want to talk about my current thinking about the podcast and the state of the issues that we talk about in the podcast. I want to give you a personal update. Just sort of let you in on what's been going on behind the scenes here in the Hotter Than Ever verse. Is that a thing?
Ooh, yes. I love it.
Everything is a verse to me.
Should we turn the tables? Should I play you?
Yeah.
And just ask you some pointed questions that I already know the answers to?
Oh my God. Yes, exactly. That sounds great. Is that what I do? I think it is. Okay. Kind of. You do it.
Not really, but okay. Great. So yes, we are here to give you a Hotter Than Ever update from the Hotter verse. What did you say?
The Hotter Than Ever verse.
The Hotter Than Ever verse. Yes.
Yeah.
And this is for a couple of reasons, this update. One is based on feedback that we've gotten from you, from, our peeps, our hotties about the show. Another is that Erin has been growing, evolving.
I've been on a journey.
She's been on a journey. She's been conversing with all kinds of real and unreal people. Figures,
the spirits.
Yes.
Sure.
But for real, has had some really great thoughts about the work that we've been doing here on the show, the things that we've been talking about. If there's almost like a theme or a culmination of the show's message, and how Erin has kind of gotten a bit more specific about what she would like that to look like going forward. Um, and still going to be the same show, still going to be, content that you know and love about all our midlife, mishigas.
Foibles and tribulations,
Yes,
opportunities. Yeah.
exactly. But maybe with a hint more um, specificity.
Mm. I had an acting teacher when I was like in high school who said acting is all about specificity. The
Oh,
more specific you can be in your character, in your emotional journey, whatever, as an actor, I just specificity has really stayed with me.
what an edgy teacher
Really,
to
it was at a
swear in the
college
middle.
program when I was in high school, so we were we were living on the edge and in the dorms.
Sounds like it. So without further adieu, Erin, why don't you share with us what's been on your mind lately? What are you thinking about?
Thinking about so much, Erica. Thank you for that beautiful tee up. I'm not used to being teed up. Um, for the last 2 years, this podcast has been a place for me to go on a personal journey and for me to bring an uh, for me to bring the audience along on a journey that I think is common to a lot of us in this moment in our lives, right? Where we were doing everything right. We were following all the rules. We were trying to have it all like our moms told us we could, like the culture told us we could. Um, and then we hit a wall where we were like, yeah, I'm trying to have it all. And for some reason, it's not working. And I'm unhappy and I'm going to need to make some changes. And that's really where I started this podcast, was at that moment of like, I had just started to make this sweeping change in my life, starting with getting separated and then getting divorced, losing my job in the media business, getting laid off from the fanciest, best paying, most high status job I've ever had. That really formed the basis of my personality. When people say, like, this hat is my whole personality, it was like, this job is my whole personality. But, underneath it, that it's not. And for me, all that like career obsession, work obsession, workaholism, like whatever, the having it all ness was masking a lot of real misery and unhappiness. Um, and over the past 2 years, I have talked to people on this podcast who have provided me with so many insights about how to do this next chapter of life, and have provided you with so many insights on how to do this next chapter of life. And I have heard from you that you feel like I am seeing you, and that Hotter Than Ever is seeing you in a way that other conversations that are out there in the cultural sphere are not acknowledging. Um, and I'm so grateful for that. And that is the work I want to do. I want to do the work that is sort of um, giving examples of what to fucking do next.
Hmm.
Because so many of us were these sort of wild, exploratory, creative creatures in our 20s. We started the careers we wanted to start. We thought we were going to change the world, and we certainly did in a lot of ways, and are in a lot of ways. Um, I mean, I didn't want like a job with a capital J, until I was like 28, 20s. Like I really didn't see the need to do anything conventional. I was trying to make enough money to live and do my creative work and live this kind of bohemian life. And then all of a sudden I realized I wanted to be a grown up. I wanted the grown up things. I wanted a career with a capital C. I wanted a family with a capital F. I'm in my early days of thinking about this stuff, I'm calling this like a capital letter life. Like
Yeah.
that's what I wanted. I wanted a capital letter life. And I wanted to make it all work. I wanted to, get the cash and prizes and have love and have kids and have an awesome career and be happy. I wanted to have everything. And so, like a lot of people, I set off to sort of smooth the edges of my edginess when I was in my, for after I was in my 20s. And I found a career in television. And it was a very satisfying, exciting, creative career, part of these big institutions, part of these corporations, getting to work with incredible artists, but sort of finding myself further and further behind the scenes. When in my 20s, I really wanted to be out front. I was writing and performing and really wanted to have a voice and contribute to the culture and the cultural conversation. And in order to make money, honestly, and to have a career in a capital letter life, like I think it's death by a thousand cuts, right? Like you accept a compromise and then you accept another compromise and then you accept another compromise, and they're not terrible individually and they're not terrible in aggregate, but layer on top of that domestic responsibilities that are disproportional for women, layer on top of that, for me, a marriage that just it wasn't the partnership that I wanted it to be. It was not a happy experience enough of the time to make it worth what it was, right? Although I got these beautiful kids and I got twins and like, holy shit, how am I doing it all? And okay, I'll juggle this and I'll do that and I'll do that. And, come to summer of 2021 in Los Angeles with all those years of compromise and kind of getting beat up and getting back up and marriage problems and career changes and all the normal life things. And what happened to me is what happens to a lot of women who are clenching to keep it together or living with an enormous amount of stress or feeling like if they step out of line at all, the whole fucking house of cards comes down. That amount of pressure, that amount of responsibility and stress, and like if you have a great partner, if you have a great living situation, if you have some variables that were different than what I'm talking about, I think it's possible to not experience that crisis or to experience it in such a way that you can make incremental changes to your life and improve it. But for a lot of us, especially those of us who decide they want to get divorced, like the next step is either get divorced or get sick. And what happened to me is I got sick. Does that resonate, Erica?
Yeah, I mean, the get sick part feels like, yeah, I mean, both of them are kind of a death in a way, like a slow death.
Yeah.
You've got the death of the marriage, and then let's say you stay in it, you are slowly dying inside, and that manifests in a lot of ways. Maybe you do get physically ill, maybe you get mentally ill, maybe you just have to numb. You're checked out, you're numb.
I was numb for years. I was numb because I just couldn't afford to honestly look at it, because if I honestly looked at it, I was going to have to dismantle it.
Yeah, and so you just go into this kind of zombie mode where you're just sleepwalking through your life, just doing the things that you need to do to get through it.
Right. And what kind of, like, you get one life. Why are we not, why are we pushing through every day? Oh, I'll just get to this milestone. Oh, I'll just get to this. I'll get to that. Oh, when the kids get to middle school. Oh, when we get to go on vacation. Oh, when I get my bonus. Like, all of these future deferred happinesses, right? These like milestones of relief. But that's part of the work that Eve Rodsky is doing, where she is wrote the book Fair Play. I had her on the podcast, and honestly, like, out of all the interviews I've done, her work has been the one that has sat on my heart the most heavily. And I could cry about this, but like, domestic labor is so much bullshit for women. And the fact that we come home from these intense jobs which we have to have. There's no like single income family anymore.
Right.
Like
Right.
because it's systemic. It's not you. It's systemic. The way the things are set up in society is to allow us to absorb all this labor. Because women are
Yeah.
fucking badass and we get it all done. Right? So Eve's work talks about how to make the domestic load more fair. And boy, you have to have a certain kind of partner who's even willing to play that game with you. I did not have that relationship. What happened for me in terms of the household responsibilities and everything you have to do for your kids and just keeping everything running was I just did everything because my partner, pretended to be incapable. And what that means is you get home from your job and you have another job and it's all full time and it's never not full time.
Whether and maybe he was incapable. I suspect that is not the case for everyone. It's either unwilling or unable
or dissembling, like pretending to be unable. I think that's maybe not even consciously, but like,
right.
You know what? You're so much better at these things. Just tell me what you need me to do. The I'm going to babysit my own children phenomenon. The well, I'll babysit. It's like, you're not fucking babysitting. You're also the parent.
The parent.
Right. You're right. What can I do, honey? All the same things need to be done all the time. So why don't you just pick a couple of those things and never ask me about it again? Anyway, you can see I'm getting fucking angry.
Yeah, I can see.
This is what happens when I think about Eve's work. And the next step in her work is to talk about how when you don't address this stuff, it manifests as illness. And I hate talking about health. I hate wellness stuff. I'll never tell you what to eat. I'll never interview a nutritionist or someone who's going to get I don't even know what the letters are. Like, who's get you to be stronger, get you to, have whatever I'm not
your
even going to
A1C.
I don't know what that is.
All I know.
That sounds like a visa.
It's from the commercials.
Yeah,
diabetics.
Right. Exactly. It's all the commercials. So I don't like wellness and I don't like the industry of it, and it actually doesn't speak to me. What it says to me is you're doing it wrong and you're broken and here's how we fix you. And that is not what Hotter Than Ever is about. Hotter Than Ever is about...
No, because we're not talking about doing an autopsy here about everything that went wrong.
No.
In the marriage, in your body, in your in your career, yes, of course, that's all part of us.
Yeah.
But I think what I've been hearing from you is, you're interested in moving forward and finding new possibilities
100%.
for what this model of life can look like. And
totally
what you and I have talked about is that there's just not enough models out there for how to do it, for how to, live as a midlife single lady, partnered, unpartnered, kids, no kids, but, not wanting to maintain the status quo of what was happening before because it's not working.
Right.
But not knowing what we're stepping into exactly.
Right. Because we can't know. Because our generation, and I fucking love this peer group. I am so blown away by the women who have come into my life as a result of this podcast, including you, Erica. We are an unprecedented generation, right? Like, we are more educated, we are more financially independent, and we are about to inherit all the boomers' wealth. But this phrase, the feminization of wealth, has come on my radar, and I'm fucking here for it. Because
God willing. I
no,
mean,
it will happen. It will happen. They will eventually die and step down from their seats in the Senate. Like at some point,
they're going to take it with them to the grave.
I know
That's
they're trying to take democracy to the grave, but it's not. We're not going to. Kamala's not going to let it happen. Anyway, that's not a political podcast, but I do have points of view. Many points of view. So yes, I mean, we're this incredible generation. We have never been more successful. We have never been more successful in these corporate environments where they like let us in the door and then we just climb to the place where we're in charge of everything. We're responsible for everything, but we own nothing. We don't sit on the boards in any kind of rational proportion. We don't own things. We don't run hedge funds. We're not venture capitalists. The venture capitalists won't give us money. Like we learned that from Cindy Gallup, that 1.7% of women owned and run companies that are looking to get funding in Silicon Valley, 1.7% of women's companies get funded. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, I don't do anything with a 1.7% chance of success.
And yet women are the one who make all of the purchasing decisions for the household.
Oh, absolutely. And
as we've learned.
Right. And when women are on boards, companies do better and all of these things. But the systemic forces that are at play are the patriarchy holding on, because the minute we get control of things, we're going to do it better. I'm sorry. I love men. Boy, do I love men. But the way that things have been working is that they haven't been working. And for us as women of a certain age, which is a disgusting phrase I'll never say again, of women over 40, we were raised to believe that we could have everything, that we could do anything, and really we can do everything. We can do the labor of everything. And then we hit a wall, and I think it's happening across our cohort where we're hitting a wall and we're going, I don't have the moment to moment demands of parenting that I had when my kids were under 10 or whatever. And we wake up and go, oh, who am I? Who am I? What am I doing with this one and only life? And so, either you can figure out how to stay on the path and keeping up with the Joneses and all the things, and that's working adequately enough for you, or you're going to blow it up. And then you'll be sitting in the rubble going, oh no. Like I feel some relief, but this is, whoa. And that is really where I have been I really was there when I started the podcast, and probably for, the first 6 to 8 months of doing the podcast, of like, I need any insight that is going to help me get through this feeling of like, oh, fuck, I just blew it all up and I don't know what to do now. And
someone tell me it's going to be okay.
Someone tell me it's going to be okay.
Someone tell me that I did the right thing. Somebody tell me what to do next. And, oh, that sounds good. I'm going to do that. Oh, that sounds good. I'm going to do that.
Right. And that insight helps inform where I'm at this moment. And, my story fits into a bigger cultural context. When Paulette Rigo, who came on to talk about mediation instead of divorce lawyers, she said 73% of divorces are initiated by women. I thought, oh yeah, this is a larger systemic cultural issue.
Yes.
This is a big picture, who we are in the world and the space that we occupy in the culture. And we are part of a massive sea change. But the problem is we've been on this escalator, right, for years and years, where we're like, okay, I'm gonna get the, for me, like, okay, I'm gonna stop freelancing in my 20s. I'm gonna get a proper job, and then I'm gonna look for a guy who I can start a life with because I want to have kids, and then we're gonna build our careers together, and we're gonna raise our, and we're saving a 401k, and then we're gonna buy a house, and we're like all of this escalator stuff. But
Yeah.
once your kids are more self-sufficient, or if you didn't have kids, once you reach a certain place in various goals in your lives, you turn around and you go, "Oh fuck, I'm at the top of the escalator." And then you look around, and I just have this image. It's almost like a Talking Heads video from the 90s, um, where you're at the top of the escalator and you look around and it's just fucking fields. It's just wide
Fields.
open fields
Yeah.
of like nothing. And you could go in any direction and you could take any path. And it's also that Robert Frost poem, the Road Less Traveled, right? Where
Yes.
ultimately you think it's like, oh, whatever choice I make is so important, but in reality, they all kind of lead
the same to the
yeah,
same place.
yeah. So you've got to head off in some direction, right?
Yeah.
And that's the next phase, right? Once you're out of the rubble, you can set your sights on the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
And because there's no precedent, no generation has been as educated, has as much experience building things, making things, growing things, has as
Nurturing
much
things.
nurturing, right? Has as much professional experience. We're all going, oh fuck, what do I do? How do I reinvent my professional life? How do I reinvent my personal life? How do I maybe want to do parenting differently? Maybe I want to live in a tiny house community with my girlfriends. Like, I don't fucking know. Let's start a commune, or let's start a business. Like, I always,
Yes.
I always loved XYZ. What if I tried to do more of that? And, or what I'm tired of working for someone else's profits. Like, what if I tried to do something on my own? Like, all of these thoughts are so legitimate and so wide open. Like, there's no surprise to me why the New York Times and the New Yorker and the New York Press basically is obsessed with polyamory. It's because all of the editors at those publications did this journey. They did this journey of the capital A adult life, and then they're kind of and the women who run publishing. I mean, the reason there are books about this stuff is because women our age run the fucking publishing business. These are the books they need to read.
Right.
Like,
Well, polyamory is a very concrete specific way of testing the boundaries and, breaking the mold and doing something completely out of left field that you haven't done before. And there seems to be a model for it. Like, we can get a book on how to have the conversation and how
hard.
to. It's very prescriptive, and it seems very, very hard. And you know what? The truth is that it typically ends in divorce anyway.
Right? But that's what we're all trying to avoid. I think there's a cohort of people who are trying to avoid upsetting the apple cart of the capital A life, capital A adulting life, right? And so you're reading about this.
Polyamory is a stepping stone.
Or a symptom.
Or a symptom.
Or it's hot. I don't know. But like,
yeah, maybe some people make it work,
hot.
but very few, I think. Very few.
I see it as a symptom of a cultural moment where women are going, what am I getting out of this? In terms of their committed long-term relationships. And maybe I love this person, but maybe I need something more different. Oh, I didn't expect, we're living so long now. I mean, I'm going to be 53 in a couple weeks. My mom is 80 and thriving. My aunt just passed away at age 93. Like, I look at, if I have 40 more years, what? With no roadmap, with no precedent, with no one giving we have to be the examples of what is possible. And all of this sort of larger sociocultural stuff is really what I'm lit up about these days. I'm lit up by the systemic conversations, the conversations about like, oh shit, like we are part of kind of a moment in time. And I love the idea that after the rubble and after reaching the top of the escalator with this wide open field of possibilities for reinvention
Mhm.
and finding our own happiness and what lights us up as individuals. And obviously, there's the material realities of life. You have to work, you have to pay for shit, you have to figure out how to make a living. And again, systemically, real hard to do that these days. Real
Yes.
hard to do that. Technology has really busted every model, and so many people that I have talked to are really struggling to figure out, wow, I've never lived this marginally. I've never lived this much on the edge. I've never had less of a safety net. I've
Yeah.
never had less security. I've never had to worry about health insurance in the way I have to worry about it now for me and my kids. Like, all of these bigger things are at play. And guess who's going to figure it all out? It's going to be
Right.
us.
Right. Well, but when you think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs,
Yeah.
right? Safety is the one that's got to get resolved first
Mm-hmm.
before we can self-actualize and figure out those things. We have to feel safe, and I think we get stuck in that need for safety, need for stability, and we never get the opportunity to just play,
Right.
to just, you know, did you ever read those books, the Choose Your Own Adventure
Oh
books
my
when you were
God.
a kid?
Story of my life. Yes. I
I was
fucking love them.
obsessed with those
Yes.
books.
And then
I
you'd go
I would
back
even
and
make
try
up
all
my
the
own
different options.
adventures. Oh yeah. Yes, you'd go back and try all the other. I loved the idea of like, and you can choose this one or this one or this one. And or you can just make one up yourself. And there was no pressure. It wasn't like, oh, I have to get this right. I have to choose the right one.
No.
You just picked one that sounded good, and you followed it through, and then maybe you got to the other side and you were like, all right, maybe that wasn't like perfect for me, but maybe I'll try, but I got something out of it, but maybe I'll try something else. And then somewhere along the way, we just like lose that freedom of choice
Yeah.
because we resign ourselves to what we're like, what we got spit out in, like what end we got spit out to, and now we're here and it's fine, I guess, and everything's fine, there's nothing wrong, and I should be grateful, I should be so
Oh, you should be
grateful.
gratitude journaling every day,
Yes,
because
every
that's
day.
that is not going to solve it, guys.
No.
Ladies,
So what if
this is not an individual's problem. This is a larger
it
cultural
is?
problem. It's not you. It's systemic.
Yeah, yeah. So what if that metaphor you use, we get to the top of the escalator, there's a big field, and now we have to choose our own
That's
adventure.
right. That's what I
And
want.
that's scary.
Right, and that's what I want Harder Than Ever to be. I want, first of all, I want everyone to know how optimistic I feel about us. I think
Thank
there is
you, Erin.
so much
Oh, you didn't
potential.
mean you and me?
Oh, you and me for sure. Um, ride or die. But also about us as a generation,
Yes.
as a group of women over 40 trying to figure out what happens next. Like, I really believe in us. And because we were scrappy and figured it out in our 20s, we figured out how to be happy and self-expressed, a lot of us, in our 20s, and we had this idealism. We just have to figure out how to get her back. And the person who
Mm-hmm.
I've been in my life that I relate the most to at this moment is me at 27. Like,
Who was Erin at 27?
I mean, I was living in New York City by myself. I had my first apartment solo. Um, I was acting and doing improv. I was working as little as I could for money so that I would like sustain my life, but so that I could have, I always felt like if I was working 3 days and I had 4 days off, that I was winning. Because what I was doing in those 4 days was making shows and producing things downtown and,
Yeah.
trying to figure out my artistic voice. And not now, look, I would have had to live a very marginal life if I had chosen that path forever. Um, but I feel like she had very anti-authoritarian notions. She was anti-corporate. She dressed real funky. She was real cute. She slept with whoever she wanted to. Like, she had fun. There was a lot of
Yeah.
parties and karaoke and, and laughs and, and a feeling of like, oh, well, you want to go to Thailand? Like, let's go to Thailand in a month. Let's make a plan. Let's buy some plane tickets. Like, I felt like the world, I could do anything I wanted. I was free and independent. And I really relate to her. I want her joie de vivre without the
Mm-hmm.
insecurity that I had then. And I think that
Right.
is what we have now.
Yes, because we're more mature now. So we've lived more, we have more experience, and we know that we're gonna be okay
Yes. We
no
have
matter
more
what.
evidence of
Yes.
our ability to be successful. We
Yes.
have all of the we check all of the boxes on that job interview, that job description on LinkedIn that we look at, instead of being like, oh, there's 10 that I am, but there's like 7 that I'm not, so I'm not going to apply. At this point, we check all the boxes and then we go, yeah, I don't even think I really want that job.
Right.
Like, we're qualified for it. Our credibility has met, we now match the credibility that we require from ourselves in order
That's
to
right.
take risks in our lives, right? Like, let's look at the evidence of what we've accomplished so far and use that as a thing that gives us confidence that we are going to figure this out. And we are going to figure this out together. We do not have to be
Yes.
alone in this conversation. That's not going to work, actually. Culturally, financially, like, we're going to have to work together.
We can, and it's exciting because this Gen X audience that we're talking about here, so generally 40, over 40,
Mm-hmm.
we are considered to be all of those things that you just referred to about yourself. That is kind of who we are, right? We're kind of anti-authority. We're cute. We're edgy.
We're DIY, right?
We're the latchkey kids. We
Mm-hmm.
had to figure it out ourselves. We were watching, Pretty in Pink and all of those movies that
Say
taught
anything.
us.
Ugh.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Lloyd
But I mean,
Dobler,
that taught us that we are strong and powerful just for who we are.
Yeah.
All the Molly Ringwald, like, I'm a redhead. She's a redhead. I was like, oh, redheads are actually pretty.
It took Molly Ringwald to figure that out.
Yes, it took
Wow.
Molly Ringwald to
God
figure that
bless.
out. Yeah. But so all of us, what I mean to say is that we all have that drive within us and that joie de vivre that you were referring
Yes.
to, with the sensibility and pragmatism that we've developed through our
Oh, you
careers and our
articulated
lives.
that beautifully. Can you say that again?
Thank you. Oh, God, I can try. Just that, we have all of that joie de vivre from our youth,
Mm-hmm.
paired with the sensibility and pragmatism that we've developed through our careers and our lives.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's so much reason to bet on us and to believe in us. And, and there's all the reasons why society at large wants us to be invisible, because if they tell us we're invisible, then we get all internal, right? It's like the same thing as like they tell us to focus on anti-aging, right? To like, well, make sure you still look hot and make sure you still this and make sure your body conforms to XYZ. And like, how much of our lives have we wasted looking inward and saying, oh, not good enough, not good enough, not good enough, because those are
Mm-hmm.
the pressures that we get. what if we choose what we want to take on in those arenas and fucking move on? Like for me, like, I'm going through a physical transformation too. First of all, I've never been this blonde. What the fuck? I'm so blonde. I love
You
it.
are pretty blonde, but
Really?
it suits you.
I like it. Look, I like it. I'm also, losing weight. I've lost 18 pounds on this weight loss drugs that I was so judgmental about, and actually turns out to be such a gift. Now
Great.
how it's going to be for as a forever part of my life, we'll see, we'll see about that. I think part of me is like, that's a marketing premise.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows
Nobody
anything.
knows.
But the ability to lose weight without suffering has been a revelation for me. So I spent a lot of years suffering to lose weight, and then losing weight, and then gaining weight, and then gaining more weight. And this may be that again, but at this moment, I'm feeling physically better than I've ever felt. I'm feeling my vitality is strong. I'm feeling hopeful and optimistic, and hot. Like, dating a bunch of people and getting a lot of attention from men. And that's what I need without being emotionally responsible for them. Oh, it's so nice.
Another model for how to do this thing
If
when
it's a model that
you start dating, if you
if that's what you
resonate
want,
with it,
right, exactly.
if that's
And
what
if
you
it's
want.
not, if you're like, Erin, Jesus, like, I get that too. It's not.
Yeah.
Your choices will not be for everyone. My choices are not for everyone. But what I want to bring is a sense of fun and joy and context to this conversation about what it's like to be over 40 in the year 2024. And to be a woman who has followed the rules, and then the system has not rewarded it in the way that we were taught to expect, right? Because tech broke everything. So every consistent thing that we were raised to think from our parents' generation, which, who knew that our parents grew up in the most unprecedented period of prosperity, and this sense that there is a social good to all boats rising when,
Right.
everyone has more security provided by the government, in the form of FDIC protections for bank accounts, and in the form of Medicaid, and in the form of Social Security, and all these things, the GI Bill that helped white men of any
Yeah.
class, raise a family on a single income, like that. We grew up thinking that 30-year period from the late 40s to the late 70s was the norm, and that was what we could expect. But the fact is, we can't fucking expect that, because the political policies and economic policies that came after that dismantled every piece of that and took the safety net out from under us just at the moment when we would be
It was supposed to become available.
right.
Yeah.
Just at the moment when we believed we could have anything we wanted.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so disappointing. It's so disappointing.
It's so disappointing. And it's like, oh, great. Thanks so much. But to me, I'm not surprised that, like, our generation is who we are, because we can do this. We can be enterprising. We can be scrappy. And also we can say, fuck the rules.
Yes.
Fuck the rules, because those rules those conforming to the path that the rules are supposed to, like, what the rules are supposed to get you is no longer available.
Yeah. It's
Right?
all made up anyway.
Right.
We know that now, and we're just getting creative with
Totally
working around it to get our needs met, and not putting up with shit anymore that makes us have to be anyone other than who we are.
That's right. That's right. And so what I'm thinking about, in terms of a slight burping into the microphone, what I'm thinking about, we'll edit that, about in terms of a slight reframe for Hotter Than Ever, is I'm not a therapist. I am not trained. Uh, I also look down the path of, you hear me talk with Scorn about this notion of being a thought leader. There is a path, a good girl path, where, uh, I develop a self-help workshop and there's coaching. And I'm saying this with scorn. I don't mean it with scorn because I participate happily in these things. Um, there is a path where I go and speak at conferences and I write a book and I become like a person who's like in this healing wellness space of like, let's all get better and feel better so that, we don't, and we can handle menopause and deal with hormones and all that stuff. All those things are therapy and psychology and life coaching
Coaching. Yeah.
and, um, and conversations about menopause. Like, that is all great stuff. But I think it needs to shift out of the center of what I've been doing at Hotter Than Ever, because really what I want to provide for you as listeners is options. I want you to know what your options are at this point in your life. I want you to know you don't have to do it how you've been doing it, and that there are lots of models for people who have invented the next stage of their lives, whether that's in relationships and love, whether that's in their financial lives and how they live and how they spend and how, do you remember that conversation about
Yeah.
buying nothing for a
Absolutely.
year? Like, that's interesting to me. Like, how are we going to do this in a way
Mhm.
that's particular to us as individuals, and that can actually give us the satisfaction and joy and fulfillment that we're looking for at this phase in our lives? I'm not going to not talk about menopause. I'm not going to not talk about whatever, but my feeling is like I'd like to narrow the focus a little bit so that it's about people who have created an option for us to live into, right? A career reinvention, a personal life reinvention. Um, I just think we need to have examples of what's possible out there in that giant field at the top of the escalator. Like,
Yeah, cuz you can't know what you don't
right,
know, and
right.
you don't know, like last night, can I tell you what I
Yeah,
did last
yeah,
night? I went to an outdoor concert in the neighborhood
yeah.
in some lady's backyard.
Awesome.
And she has like land, and like the whole neighborhood just kind of wandered into her yard. And she's an artist, and she left all of the, house and the Airbnb that she has open so you could just walk through and look at her art. She featured other artists. I mean, she was so cool. Just anyone could just walk in her house and look around and buy some art if you want, and then go sit on the lawn and listen to some music. And it was packed because people
Wonderful.
want to be together and they want to see their neighbors. And my friend and I were walking home and we're like, the younger generations would never do that. Like that is a spirit of generosity that I haven't experienced from anyone younger than us. And that
Right.
is something so beautiful and precious that our generation, and even some baby boomers, the hippies. Um, and I don't want that to die. That is like a really beautiful
Well,
model.
and we need community. We really, really need community. We need places to go where people get us, where we get them,
Yes.
where we feel like, oh, just be with people. I had
Yeah.
my first party at my house this
Yes, you
summer
did.
that I have ever had. And my kids have parties all the time. They have friends over all the time, but they were away at camp and I had a party just to have a party. And it was like healing my relationship with uh, Los Angeles to see not I don't have a fucked up relationship with Los Angeles, but I do sometimes feel really isolated here, and it's a common
Yeah.
complaint. And
Mm-hmm.
so many people from different areas of my life, young people and older people, like artists and people I know through my professional. I mean, it was so gorgeous, and I was so moved and full the whole time that I felt like, oh, this is what community feels like. Now I'm really clueless. Like, I am my mother's only child. Like, I am pathologically independent. I need to be reminded.
Pathologically
No, I
independent.
am.
That
It's
is
a like
so
reaction to
funny.
having no control over my life as a child. And so
Right.
I just am
Right.
like, I'll do it. You know?
Yeah.
Like, I can handle it. I'll do it by myself.
I'll plan it.
Yeah.
I'll buy the
I've
drinks.
got this. But I let people help me, and I let, and I was like, I didn't stress about like, will so and so get along with so and so. It was just like, I love you. You should come. Like, let's hang out. And I didn't have the stress of also parenting at the same time. And I was like, oh, this is a possibility for my life. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
could be more actively in community.
Yes.
And that felt
Yes.
like what you're talking about with your neighbor's house. It's like, if she did that regularly, you would develop a culture around that, and maybe you would do it
Yeah.
at your place. So,
And maybe I wouldn't be so lonely if I could just get over my fear of having a stranger in my
right.
house. Like,
That's right.
and we're not talking about some like creepy man that is going to come murder me with an
Oh
axe.
my
We're
God. Can you
just
imagine
talking
if there was
about
like a dude doing this setup? It would just feel very different.
yeah, no. It's just
Maybe it
it's
would be
more of like a
nice.
spirit of openness and sharing
Yeah.
and just, welcoming people into your space, welcoming people into your life, not having so many, invisible boundaries that keep us separate from
Totally.
each other.
Totally. And I also think the constraints and the level of responsibility that we have, especially if we still have kids at home, or at the beginning of parenting, because that's possible too in your 40s. Like, yeah, there is this sense of like, I don't have to do this by myself. Where are my friends? Where are my girlfriends? Like, when I got out of my marriage, I looked around and I was like, oh, the things that are missing for me are like my interests and my
Yeah,
personal social life, not the who
right.
we hang out with because the kids are friends with their kids. Like, not the default people, the coworkers or whatever, but the like your people.
Mhm.
I want us to be looking actively for those people, because those are the people you're going to have fun with, you know?
Yeah, and who knows, this community could really, you know, be that for each other. And
Yeah.
if there's a desire and if there's an interest, I mean, there's a lot of people that listen to this podcast, and if you're interested in being in community with us, not because we're trying to monetize it or
Although we will be.
capitalize on it,
Yeah.
but just to be together and in solidarity
Yeah,
with each
please,
other.
like, participate in the Substack, participate on social media with us. I'm going to try to be
Would you like a Facebook group?
I don't know.
Would you
I fucking hate
No.
Facebook. I know we're supposed to have a group.
I
Okay.
know, but
Can I talk a little bit about like hotter than ever as a macro thing? Because
yes.
I'm also up to some entrepreneurship that I want to share.
Yes, let's talk about that as we
As we start to wrap up.
yes, as we start to wrap.
Thank you for keeping me on time and on task, Erica. Um, what's up with Hotter Than Ever as a brand is that I have the beginnings of a book. So I am working with a partner on that. I created this show with my friend Amber J. Lawson called Swipe Club. We did it once here in Los Angeles. It's about dating online in over 40. It was really fun. It was really, really fun. And I can't wait for more people to see it. So we're trying to figure out what to do next with that. It was like part comedy show, part empowerment seminar, part like workshop. People, the audience, you ladies who showed up for that wanted to talk about your experiences dating online.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was great. Like everybody really was willing to show up with their own stories and experiences, and that was gorgeous. I am working on a partnership where we will film episodes of this podcast. So we'll be able to get sort of a more visual take and a little bit of a wider reach on YouTube. I'm working on a stand-up show, which is going to be all
Woo!
women comics over 40, which, you know, we're going to prototype and we're just going to baby steps turn it into a giant national tour, coming to a town near you, probably in 2025. So, you know, there's a lot of planning, and there's a lot of brick by brick, step by step work. I am working really hard not to be a solo, not to do everything all by myself. You know, this is part of the lessons that I want to do this better than I did in my 20s. I don't want that pathological self-reliance. I want partners who are psyched and who will carry the load with me and who will help grow Hotter Than Ever and all of our different fun, insightful, you know, experiences and media. I'm also going to try to push myself out there a little bit more on social media and just be willing to be more opinionated. I just like so diplomatic and raised to be like, well, this is this and this is also this, you know. But I think the fact is that I do have a strong point of view, and I have to stop being the child of divorce that I am, trying to please everybody, and say a little bit more of what I really think, and participate in the cultural conversation a little bit more, because I just don't hear a lot of people who are out there saying, you know, talking about this phase of life in a way that's not
Yes.
just about problem solving.
Right. It isn't just dumps in the dumpy dumps.
Right. Or just like, oh my God, I'm suffering. Here's what I need to eat or journal or, you know, meditate about. Stop it. Like that is a Band-Aid. And yes, you need to take care of yourself, and you need to work on your mindfulness and your wellness. But your mindfulness and your wellness are not going to change this systemic shit. And so, like, getting really clear about your dreams for this stage, and then listening and hearing other people who have actually made these changes, or various kinds of changes from incremental to enormous, like that is really what I want to provide here. It against the backdrop of like, this is what's happening culturally. We have a viable woman candidate for president who is us. She is fucking us. You know, she is an overachiever who has done everything right and somehow allowed herself to be like put on the sidelines for 3 years. I just keep thinking she's been at the gym. She's just been at the gym working out.
She's just probably.
Yeah.
She's working
she's
out
fucking ready.
Her plan to take over. Thankfully.
Yeah.
She's played it smart. She's so smart.
Yeah. And so
she's exactly what we need to get us there.
I agree. And she's, you know, like all of us, been underestimated.
Yeah.
Don't underestimate us. You don't underestimate yourself. Like, you've done well under the shaking, quaking ground of the last 30 years. Like, in the economy that we've been in with constant recessions, in the cultural shit that's been happening, like, and you managed to build an adult life. Like, you got this too, you know, just because you're older, it doesn't mean there isn't another 30, 40, 50 years of life for you. You know, let's work on it together and try to figure out how to make it fun.
Yeah, let's make it fun together.
This will be my new catchphrase. Let's make it fun together. That's the least fun bumper
Yeah.
sticker I've ever heard of. Take responsibility for your fun.
All right, my dear.
Thank you, Erica.
Well, this has been a joy. I love having these conversations with you.
I love you and your support and your guidance and your calm and reasonable counsel when I'm like on an emotional roller coaster about existential everything. I'm grateful for you.
Thank you, my friend. All right. So tune in next week and we will have more Hotter Than Ever from the Hotter Than Ever verse for you. And reach out to us on Instagram, Substack. Let us know what you think of this conversation, how it resonated with you, if it brought anything up, brought anything to the surface.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear from you.
All right. Love you all.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Hotter Than Ever. If you loved this conversation with me and Erica Gerard, please find us on Substack at hotterthanever.substack.com or at hotterthaneverpod on Instagram. Comment on our posts, drop us a note. I want to hear from you. I want to hear what you think about where we've been and where we're headed and how Hotter Than Ever can be more valuable to you than it is even at this very moment. Hotter Than Ever is produced by Erica Gerard, whose voice you have now heard and who you have started to get to know, and her company Podkit Productions. Our associate producer is Melody Carey. Music is by Chris Keating, with vocals by Isa Fernandez. Dive into these last weeks of summer with gusto, ladies. It will be Labor Day, and we'll be back in the swing of fall and work and all that stuff, and maybe sweaters and leather and cute outfits. Fall's always a good fashion season. Anyway, we'll be there before we know it. So go and get into a body of water or go to your friend's house and jump in the pool. Find a way to make the most of the sunshine.